Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Marketing Monday. I'm excited today to have with me the owner of Pivotous. Well, actually, you are the owner, right? I said owner.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. This is Chrissy Larsen, everybody. It's funny because I've been following you on Instagram, and like we were just talking about in the green room, because you've been in Texas, and I've been seeing all these Texas photos. I had it in my mind that you're from Texas. You're actually from Idaho, so. Welcome to the show from Idaho, Chrissy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
I'm excited to have you here. It's going to be a lot of fun. In fact, you've got a lot of people who love you on social media because I posted this morning that you're my guest, and everyone's like, oh, she's going to be a great guest. So I'm excited to pick your brain. We've got somebody watching. Sachin, welcome from Pune. I've been saying this wrong. I found out the other day. I've been saying this wrong forever. I thought it was Pune. I'm an American. What do I know? Anyways, it's Pune. I found out. So one of my friends from India corrected me the other day, and I appreciate that. So welcome. Let us know where you are watching us from in the chat. We are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And then later, of course, after we're done, it'll go on Spotify, and it'll live on my website forever in case you miss it or you want to watch it. Yeah, in case you want to watch one of the back episodes, you guys can. And Chrissy, this will be a benefit for coming on the show. You're going to get a backlink to your website. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
all the benefits. All the benefits.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little perk of joining the show. I appreciate it for sure. So let's do this. For those of you who are watching that don't know who Chrissy Larsen is, and I don't know you as well as I know some of my other guests this far. I think you and I met on Clubhouse, if I remember right. So
we did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So do us a favor, maybe 2-3 minutes, just kind of give us a backstory. How did you get into marketing and, up to where you are now?
Sure. So I kind of came into marketing different than, I didn't go into a career thinking I'm going to be a marketer. I was a wellness provider. I owned wellness centers for between 14 and 16 years. I'd co-opted the first couple of years, and I was in preventative healthcare, and I left in 2014 to build a med tech startup called Why the Hell's Not. And so we were trying to help individuals manage their medical health data and communicate with non-traditional practitioners and regular practitioners. So we needed a network that all of those individual doctors and everything from a massage therapist to a naturopathic doctor were going to be on. And we found LinkedIn. And so when we started facilitating these conversations and we built kind of this CRM for life, we built it as an overlay on LinkedIn to, proof of concept for what we were doing. As a subsidiary, in order to fund our startup, we realized that we could actually use it as a marketing tool, because everything with marketing is about building relationships and facilitating conversations. And so with that, our subsidiary was WTHN Media. And that's kind of how I got into the marketing realm. I had done all of my own marketing for my spas for all of those years. So I was proficient in marketing and building relationships and clientele for myself, but I hadn't done it in the sense of doing it for other people until I built this marketing. And then I repackaged what we were doing and called it Pivotous. So pivot with us, because the marketing was much more enjoyable and easier without all of the politics of trying to build a medical health data platform. And so that's where we started Pivotous, which means pivot with us, because we asked all of our existing clients to move to the new company and the rebranding. And we found it was a pivotal moment, which kind of came into the name as well. So big on name play, but that's how I got into it.
No, I love it. And I'm glad that you explained the name, because it is one of those, for somebody with dyslexia, it's a little hard to read it, but I did kind of assume that's what it was. So you just confirmed it. So now, if you guys are watching and you're not familiar with Chrissy, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually put up her, I'm going to put up her LinkedIn profile, and then I'm going to share it here in the comments so that you guys can
look how cool my hair looks in that picture.
You have awesome photos. Like I said, if you guys are not actually, I don't typically share Instagram on here, but if you're not following Chrissy on Instagram, you need to check them out. She's been on this. You go to different places. It's not just Texas, because before that you were somewhere else that was cool. You take a lot of neat pictures out in.
I'm kind of a travel blogger. I hike with a bunch of hiking groups, and I'm a part of a bunch of advanced swing dancing and line dancing. Actually, we just signed up for aerial yoga, so that we could learn like the acrobatics type yoga, and then like a group of girlfriends that I'm with, and then we signed up for salsa. So
there you go.
Yeah.
The only salsa I do is in a bowl, and I eat it. All right, so let's do this first. So you and I met on Clubhouse, and I like Clubhouse. I know you like Clubhouse. So if you guys are out there and you're on Clubhouse, you can find Chrissy and follow her there at Chrissy Larsen it's not dot nothing. It's just at Chrissy Larsen.
At Chrissy Larsen.
Are you hosting any weekly rooms? Are you a regular host?
Not for myself. We host them for clients. So we run a bunch of rooms for clients. We work in kind of experiential marketing and relationship tech. And so we have a CRM, kind of like I referenced earlier, that we help individuals to create basically situational conversations to build relationships, and they're like personal and professional brands. So we go into companies and we help companies to get and build the brand for all of their sales team, and then for their leadership team. So that's what we were in Texas. We were in there filming founder stories and B-roll and interviews of the entire company. And then we were working with other individuals that we had met on Clubhouse. So that was a lot of fun to go build those, take from an audio presence to in real life. That was super awesome to be able to do that and meet everyone. It was kind of funny because they were like, my business partner, Kyle, they were like that, because his picture on Clubhouse is kind of like a three-way picture. And then everyone's like, but I follow you on Instagram and you're exactly like you are on Instagram. So at least I represent who I am pretty well.
No, I think there's something to that. Okay. So in full disclosure, because I can manipulate photos and videos, and that's my expertise in the marketing world. I'm the graphics guy, right? So I came into marketing via the print world. So I tell people all the time, you can't trust these photos, you can't trust the videos, because I can take anything you want and change it. Like if you have acne, I can take the acne away. If you don't like the color of your hair, I can change the color of your hair. I could add hair in my case, but I think it's flattering and super awesome. I don't know how else to say it. I think it's super awesome when you meet somebody in real life, or you meet somebody, like in Clubhouse, and you talk to them for an hour, when they are who you thought they were based on what you've seen and experienced with them in the social media journey, whether that's on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or any of them, or you meet them in real life and have coffee or whatever, which has been tough over the last year, obviously, with the COVID situation and social distancing. But, when you meet somebody and they are who you thought they were based on their posts, I think that's the highest form of compliment that, you
I
basically
agree.
say, like,
Yeah.
you're exactly like your social media represents. I think that's a good thing. So
And it kind of the coolest part, what I feel is like I love doing, because with my first career, I was a life coach, and my job was to help reverse engineer people's lifestyle to help them create the best version of themselves, to proactively create the best version and help them to understand the choices that they were making that was causing them to be in chronic pain or have all of these issues. And now it's funny. I literally do the same thing, but I help people to find their authentic self and to help them identify what choices they're really making in order to hold them back in business, or to prevent them from building relationships or that brand that they want that is authentic, that people love you for you and kind of becoming that person that you want to be. And so the cool thing is, like when you're good at something, you're good at it. I've
yeah,
just repackaged it and taken it to a different level, to more of a corporate business level versus a one-on-one health level. So
yeah, no,
I
I
kind of
really like that. I like that about what you said, and I don't think you need to apologize or be, whatever. I am on the show with Matt Crump. It's a show that I help host. He's the host. I'm the co-host of the show called Let's Get Naked, and it's on Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to join it, it's a weekly show. We have a couple other co-hosts. It's a lot of fun. But what we talk about is, what it's like to try to make a living on social media, because in full disclosure, I make my full living is in social media, right? For myself and for my clients. So in that, this struggle to be authentic, this struggle to not misrepresent is a real challenge, and then also there's this thing called, which is why I want to bring this up, it's called imposter syndrome, which is not necessarily what it sounds like. You might think it's like somebody being phony, but actually if you look up the definition, what it has to deal with is not feeling adequate. Like, hey, I don't have a master's degree, or I didn't have a bachelor's degree in marketing. Should I really be charging people for this? But the answer is yes. And I actually really like what you did. Your background is real world background, and you did it for yourself for over a decade, and you did it for a successful business with multiple locations. That's nothing to sneeze at. That there's only so much you can learn in a textbook. And frankly, what I learned in marketing at San Jose State back in the late 90s doesn't really apply as much anymore, because the digital world has changed so much. In fact, you and I were just talking about that in the green room before the show started, how much the world has changed from 2019 to 2021. And you guys are even getting ready to relaunch your website because of it in May 1st. So if you guys we haven't really talked about your business in detail yet. I've kind of gotten off of the order of operations of the show, but that's okay. I'm gonna transition. This is a smooth segue, by the way. I'm like super. I'm the best podcast host you'll ever find, because my transitions are flawless. You never even know I'm making these transitions. But Pivotous, this is the company that you run. Now, your title says President of Marketing and Business Development, which I love that, because as the owner of the company, I think that's the best way to think of yourself. So kudos for the title. Love it. But if you guys are not following this company yet, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this file. I want you to smash it just like that. Okay, smash it. So this is following, and then you can get updates whenever they post. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it here in the comments again, because right now this is the best way to get information on your company, because you guys are doing that website rebrand. The website is still live, but if you come back, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to come back and check it out after May 1st, because it's going to be completely revamped, totally different. Everything's updated. Look, COVID-19 and all the changes that happened. Think about everything that happened. Most people went to work from home, working remotely. They're more comfortable on video. Algorithms changed. The type of people using social media changed when they use social media. I mean, it all changed. So Pivotous is going to do their own pivot and update everything so that it's all up to date. And they want you to see that information. So follow them, get their information here. And then when they launch, I'm sure there will be lots of announcements on the social media pages, right?
Yeah, we've never marketed for ourselves. I know that sounds funny, but we've had when I pivoted, we had so many clients that we had already had. We were so busy working with clients, like we've never had to market for ourselves. So this is going to be the first time since I launched this company in 2018 that we'll have ever marketed for ourselves. So so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, tell us about Pivotous. What does Pivotous do, and who does it do it for? Everybody has like a niche where they like, this is our ideal customer, and this is the type of work they do, and this is the size they are, and those kinds of things. So if you could talk about that, we might be able to drum up some business for you today.
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna tell a little bit of I'm gonna story tell it because I'm gonna tell a little bit.
Totally fine. I love it.
How I came into it. So like you said, my background was owning brick and mortar. I was a practitioner, right? And I'll even kind of go back a little bit further. When I first started into the health and wellness, that was way before digital marketing was how you marketed, right? You would do like money mailers and like even back into where you would post in the phone books and stuff like that. So I had always been great at sales, to be honest. So I'm very competitive by nature. And so when I was young, I was in Girl Scouts and I won the most sales every single year, hands down. And it was all about giving. It was all about giving those cookies, right? So you do samples. Samples close everything. And I love to cook. I taught cooking classes for 16 years. And so I love to cook. So I would talk about all the ingredients that made them awesome. And it was just so unique than rather like just trying to be cute and be like, buy my cookies, you know? So I was able to really drum that up. So when I launched my spa, I was 20, and I went and I talked my way into the windows. I know this sounds funny, of major department stores like Bath and Body Works, where people were going to be in there shopping and would utilize a spa service. And so I would sell gift certificates while giving chair massage and creating this experience for these individuals once they came and talked to me. And then I'd upsell them. And then when they came in, I would upsell them again to work with me and have them buy a package deal, which is literally what we do as marketers, right? We just do it on a digital front. We give them something that's an experience. We have them come in our door. We make them happy by them with our services, and we get them to buy something that brings them back and back. And that's how you build a really great service. So essentially that's what I do now for my customers. I help them to find those individuals that are looking for the experience or the product service that they offer. I help them to create that fluid relationship that upsells them, keeps them coming back with that hook. And then we help them to continue to wow and over deliver on a regular basis. So now with our relaunch in May, I wanted to help solopreneurs because I've always been the business owner my whole life. And so I've always felt in a way as a solopreneur, because I've never had like real quote unquote business partners. Like a lot of people, they'll go in and they have these individuals that they're 100% as like they have a 50-50 split, right? They're both responsible, 100% responsible or 50% responsible. I've always, for my businesses, been mostly 100% responsibles. And I've brought on other individuals that start to take that off, but they mostly manage one area of the business and I overlook all of it. So in a way, I've always felt like this solopreneur, right? On this journey trying to do something. So with this, rebrand, I built a product of my service that allows solopreneurs. So it doesn't matter if they're literally just someone working out of their house by themselves, because that was the big pivot that I saw this year and how it affected people. And so I wanted to create a product, a service, a training templates that could help anyone, anywhere in the world, and it could be affordable to them. So that's one of the things we're launching. Also, in March of last year, we lost about 40 solopreneurs overnight. We're offering a different kind of service, but when everything started shutting down, they really started kind of freaking out over marketing services. And so our other service that we offer is more working with businesses and helping to position their sales team, building that that community with them, and then supporting that. So showing a leadership team how to build and facilitate those relationships, but really how to amplify their employees, put them on a pedestal, and create where their employees are kind of dressed in their brand digitally. So like if you work for Nike, then Nike, everyone that works there has the apparel and they can physically be covered in Nike apparel from head to toe. So they're walking brand assets. And so you can do that for a company without being an apparel brand if you're amplifying and showing that inclusion between the brand and the personal brand. And so we do that for bigger companies, and now we're going to do that for individual solopreneurs by creating those affiliate relationships, how their customers can be their brand assets, and how they can amplify, 10x their results by using digital assets to make them appear and have a wider reach than just being a solopreneur.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so let's get into this. This is the nitty gritty of the show, which is a lot of fun. We try to take these concepts and explain it to people who have never heard of. Okay, in this case, we're going to talk about the power of affiliate marketing, which is something we haven't covered on the show at all yet. So this is virgin territory for us. So welcome to the mining part of the show where we dig deep. Okay, so I understand what you just said, but I want to let you explain it a little bit more for those who, okay, you've got a person, maybe they've been in business 5 years or 2 years or 20 years. They're working by themselves. They've always felt like they couldn't do things the way any large company is done it. So it doesn't have to be Nike, but it could be. It could be anything. It could be, a Chick-fil-A. It could be an Amazon. It could be, let's see, I'm trying to think of brands. A Sony, a Canon. I've got a Canon. I love Canon products, by the way, just in full disclosure. Right, Canon's what I use for all my lenses, my camera, everything is Canon. I know that a lot of people like the Nikon, but I'm a Canon snob, so there you go. But it could be anything like that. So for me, like if we were talking about for me, right, like one of the things, you'll see it. I've got Bowman Digital Media here. I've got it on my shirt. You see it on all my digital assets. So let's just walk through. Somebody who's never thought about this, how do they get started? Like if a brand new client was to hire you and say, okay, what do we do first? So can you just walk us through the process, like how long it takes, maybe some of the benchmark steps? You don't have to give away all your secret sauce, but just so they can kind of understand what it looks like. Because again, I'm trying to help them, but I'm also maybe trying to get some business for you. So just give
sure. I'm going to explain it in the way that you would do it in a brick and mortar, and then I'll show you how you would do it outside of it.
Okay. So let's do that. So first thing, you got a brick and mortar location. Now, what industry? So let's just pick like a profile for this business. So, you know what I mean? Are we talking about like a restaurant, or do you want to do like a plumbing?
I can tell the story of what I did with my spa and the people in it, and then it'll show a reference to
Yeah.
how you could do it. But then if anyone has questions, and I can answer it for any industry.
Yeah,
So
and here's what I want you guys to do. Okay, if you have a question for the show, drop them in the comments. And if you don't want to ask on the show, then I want you to reach out to Chrissy and send her a message. Let her know that you saw her on the show. And this is what I tell everybody: do not spam my guests. Right? So if you reach out to them, I don't want you to try and sell them nothing as soon as they hit the connect button or whatever. Right? It's one of those things, like, please be respectful, but let her know that you saw her on the show, so she knows that, like, doing the show is worth her time. But you can then ask her questions, okay? And follow Pivotous on LinkedIn now. I put that link in the comments so you guys can find it there. All right. So this is okay. If, let's say, you run a spa or something like a spa, maybe you're a massage therapist or whatever, and you know what I mean. You have a location where people come in, and you haven't done this stuff. She's going to walk you through how to build up your business and get more from your marketing efforts. All right.
sure. So when you own a physical location, and now also if you're thinking about this in today's world, that you could do this digitally also. Well, when you have a physical location, you got to think about who else could you work with, who could be a complementary asset to your business that would also have the same traffic, right? So for me, it was nutrition stores, it was personal trainers, it was yoga studios, it was gyms and hotels that had a lot of guests that were from out of town that wanted to treat themselves while they were traveling. Restaurants. So I don't know if you know much about like working in the restaurant industry, but they always run competitions of who has the biggest sales nights and stuff like that. And then you win local gift certificates. So we'd all when I was really young, going to school, I worked in restaurants, and like I said earlier, I'm kind of competitive, so I always wanted the highest sales because I always wanted to win the gift certificates. And so you could win hotel stays and massages, and I mean just so many different things. And it was all about how you could increase your sales.
You want to
And
upsell. You want to
the
upsell.
upsell,
Your average
yep,
check, your guest check is higher. Yeah.
yep. And so because I knew that before I even owned spas, because I had worked in it, I knew that I could negotiate, because people were always coming in and negotiating. Hey, if I give you this, can you refer people over to our business? And they would create this collaborative partnerships. And so because I already had that background and knowledge, I went to every single business that there was any possibility. Loan officers, real estate agents, they spend a lot of money on like spa. And so I would go there and
They gotta pamper their clients, right?
yep. And so I built relationships, collaborative relationships with every single business within a 10-mile radius of my spa. And people love cookies and goodie baskets. So we would create a goodie basket. We would go in, and whether they wanted to create a collaborative relationship, we would leave this big, beautiful basket there and say, hey, we would love to work with you. Here's an example of what that would look like. And here's this basket we're just going to leave with you right here while you consider it. And then we do follow up until they said yes, right? And so that's how we had, within the first year, we had 5,000 clients and customers, and I didn't use any digital marketing, right? All I did was build these collaborative relationships with these individuals, and we would give back to them. So if they had a collaborative relationship, then we would give them a discount to services to everyone that was part of their core team. And because of that, it was able to, I didn't have to have a large marketing system because I used affiliate marketing, right? I made affiliations with companies, and I built those relationships, and I had that referral network. Now, think of how much easier that is to do, because our reach is so much more massive. It was a lot of legwork. We were building these large physical assets. We would go and have to actually have a full-time marketer going out and building these relationships, and then have to fulfill on all of the work. So now you can do that in so many different ways. There's a a million businesses that will make those baskets for you and ship them if you wanted to still do a physical asset, because people still love gifts. Like, don't get me wrong, they love a great gift and, you know, a presentation like that. And then if you do offer a discounted service to those affiliates and they do refer people over to you, then you can build those relationships. And so we go into companies and we help them to really amplify all of their employees. So most people, bigger companies especially, think they need a full sales team, right? But if they activate all of their employees and they offer affiliate referral commission for being a brand asset and dressing themselves,
Uh-oh.
how to do this, how to represent one another. Am I back?
I think we had a little bit of a hiccup. I don't know if it was on my end or your end, but let's just do this real quick. Maybe if you could just rewind 15 seconds and just start from 15 seconds ago, just to make sure everybody got it, because you're saying something that's critically important. If people aren't understanding this, what she's saying is she helped build up a referral foundation. A bunch of different companies were basically then referring her in business. So she was creating these relationships with other business owners. They're the de facto sales team. And it's amazing how much further you can get if you do that. She's going to tie this into social media, I know, in just a second, but this is the smartest way to build any business, in my opinion. So I love it, Chrissy. Please continue.
So yeah, I mean, that's really what you're doing, is you're getting people to buy into your mission and vision, right? So I had a mission, I had a vision, and I was able to get everyone to opt into that with me because I was so excited about what I did. Like, I loved what I did. And so I would get them sold on it. Now, that's where the content, and like Ira, what you do, that's where really leaning into the content and the stories and getting those individuals. Now, if you can teach your employees and empower them to tell their why and to put that out there, but to be an asset to the brand, because it's going to benefit them. So why is it going to benefit them? Well, if they are really sold on a company and they are a very desired employee, they're going to make more money, right? It doesn't matter if they stay with that company or they go somewhere else, they're going to make more money. They're going to get more exposure. So it's going to show that they're true experts in whatever aspect of the industry they're in. It's going to show their expertise. The loudest individuals get the most attention, right? If I wasn't posting on social media in different places, people wouldn't know who I am or that I even exist. I may be the smartest person in my industry, but if you have never heard of me, then it's gonna take a lot for me to convince you to work with me just based on that. And because I was the loudest person in my industry within that 10-mile radius, everybody knew who I was and everyone wanted to work with me. And I gave you cookies, you know, like cookies closes a deal every single time.
It's hard to get that logic, Chrissy. I mean, I'm a fat man who loves cookies, so.
But it's funny, it's bigger than that, right? I feel like that's a Confucius. Everyone loves cookies, and cookies come in a lot of different forms, right? Like, you just have to figure out what is the cookies that your target audience loves. And if you can give them those cookies and you can be the loudest person and have people opt into your vision and mission, then you're going to be successful. Now, it's also continued to show up and build those relationships, but that's literally what I teach people to do is how to build those relationships and show up.
The relationships are the most important part of all this, right? The cookies is just, you know, a tool that you were using to capture their attention and win their affection. But honestly, what you said before that to me is actually much smarter. And I want to draw this out and highlight this so people understand, because you and I have a lot of the same philosophies, and it's probably just because they work. You know, it's amazing what works. So here's the thing. Okay, let's just pause on this idea of going to symbiotic, now that's my word, not yours, but symbiotic relationships with other businesses that are doing something related to or that work very well with what you do, but are not competing in any way. Okay, so if you're talking about, in this case, we're talking about a spa offering massages and things like that to a restaurant or to a gym or to healthcare, they're not competing, but they can have a lot of the same clients. Well, in the business world, there are other businesses that you compete with in your space. They may or may not offer some of these other services that these other businesses are providing. If you work in collaboration with them, they don't necessarily have to open a spa division, because now they can help fight off their competitors by utilizing your business as a referral source. And you don't have to go into business to do what they do. So you can help, you can both help each other by referring back and forth these clients. And you have exposure to some naturally that they don't have, and they have exposure to some naturally that you won't have because, you know, of the people that they've met along the way or their employees, or, you know, there's just natural referrals that can come into one, but you are stronger together than you are individually. And I want people to understand that. Like, why would I take any time out of my day to refer to somebody? Like, there's a guy down the road from me. His name's Rob Johnson. He's in San Diego, and he runs a company that does something similar to what I do, but really we don't overlap much. He's helping people with lead generation and getting, you know, the leads, and then what to do with the leads once they get them. And I'm not really doing that at Bowman Digital Media. I'm more about the content creation and doing the organic relationship building that you and I have just been talking about in this example. And so when someone says, hey, can you help me with the lead gen stuff? It's like, you know what? I could, honestly, I know how to do it, but it's not what I enjoy. So instead of wasting my time doing something I don't really like to do for my clients, I just pass those forward to people like Rob Johnson and let them do it. And then when they have somebody who says, hey, you know what? I need artwork. He could probably do it, but he doesn't enjoy it. So you know what he does? He sends them to me. And we both win that way. You know what I mean? We both win that way. Yep. I have other people like that do other things, whether that be, you know, content creation and copywriting or any one of 100 different things. But it allows me to focus on what I do best and serve my clients the best way I can. And it helps me to have a higher quality of life professionally, because there's nothing worse than at the end of the day, you're like, man, I didn't do anything but the stuff I hate today. It's like, well, why don't you source that out? That's my personal recommendation. But anyways, so now maybe the small business owner is starting to understand why you take some of your time and your resources to refer to other people. Because at the end of the day, when you refer business, Chrissy, you know this, when you refer business to other people, what's the natural response? Oh, you're helping me make more money. Let me, you know, we like to give what we get. I mean, that's a natural thing in life, right? So it's more rare when you give, when you don't get. But most people are going to return whatever you dish them out. They're going to return that back to you. Usually that's the more common thing. So I found by referring other people, I not only, you know, help to ward off my competition, but I also get more in return, because they're like, oh, I want to send you business now. So, so let's do this now. Now that people understand this base concept, let's take it into the digital realm, because I know that's where most of this stuff is going. So you can either continue with the same hypothetical, or if you want to transition and share it from a different perspective, by all means. But I know that's what your agency Pivotous is working on. So let's talk about your bread and butter now. How you do for folks digitally, and this could be anybody, anywhere. You know, you're a one man band, or one person band, I guess is the more politically correct way to say it. One person. So you're a solopreneur. I don't use that word a lot because it's hard for me to say, but solopreneur, which basically means you're like me. You're all by yourself, working your thing. Or you could have a team, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a one person band. You could have 10 employees. You could have 50 employees. What's a outer range for you? Like, you know, if they start getting too big, like at Bowman Digital Media, if they start having 50 employees, they're almost too big for us. Like that's kind of Where we hands?
I mean, we've worked with companies with hundreds and hundreds of employees. Most of because of what we do is like on that realm, like I worked with Northwestern Mutual, which is a large corporation, and we work with a lot of large financial corporations. We're going in and we're working with their leadership team, their sales team, and then consulting on a corporate level. So that's not really, because it's all about teaching this new way of marketing, really leaning into micro influencers, having a company adopt that every single person in their organization is an influencer in one way or not. If they're on social media, if they have a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, they're influencing who they interact with, and helping them to understand that and to really empower those people to influence in the right way. Because if they're ignoring that their employees are influencers, then those influencers could be influencing in the wrong way that doesn't represent the company. So that's why
you're influencing one way or the other, right? For better or for worse. You have to understand.
For better, for worse, they're still there. So leaning into a proactive solution, in my opinion, is going to be the number one best way to go. Understanding and helping to control that in a way is much better. And people, I know they get kind of weird about the word control, but if you aren't controlling the message or your brand that is being amplified, then you're spiraling out of control, and a lot can happen. You know, we see everything with like the cancel culture and so many different things that are happening. If you're not controlling your message, your mission, and your vision, someone else is. And so that's really what we help organizations to do.
I mean, there's different ways to phrase that. People shouldn't get hung up on the word control. You're managing your message, you're crafting your message. I mean, this is what branding, advertising, marketing, sales, it's as old as the sales industry itself. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not painting the picture of what your brand is doing, I'd be curious to know what your marketing department is doing then. I mean, that's
Right.
really, that's at the root of what we do, is figure out what the message should be, and then how to distribute the message. And then we test the results and we revise and we keep moving. So that is what marketing does. Control. I know people get hung up on the word control, but in that case, that's just being, you're doing your due diligence. If you're not doing that, if you're not crafting the proper imagery.
I'm an A-type personality, so I love the word control. I just know some people are weird about it.
No, I know some people are like, whatever. But you can't be laissez-faire about your marketing message, about your branding. Your branding is critical to your success. And again, if you're not crafting it, if you're letting other people do that for you, that's a dangerous place, because they might be misrepresenting you.
So I'll go into the digital side of how much I saw, because we manage a lot, or we work with a lot of clients. Like we see behind the scenes of a lot of clients. And there was a huge shift in 2020 to present day, especially on LinkedIn. So I'll give you my kind of behind the scenes view of working with these companies and the way that messaging has really shifted.
And if you guys have questions for Chrissy while she's saying this, go ahead and put them in the comments so that she can answer while she's live. Otherwise, you don't get as much out of it because of the context. But Chrissy's going to go into the digital dive. And if you have questions, by all means, please put them in the comments.
So since I'm big on relationships, I think reaching out and having a conversation with someone one-on-one is very beneficial. But because so many people got burned out on having to be at home and spend all day on Zoom calls, people don't really want to get on a Zoom call one-on-one just for hello. Also, people have really used those to over pitch and kind of spam their connections because they're so eager to get new clients that they're not willing to put in the time to nurture those relationships. And that's really hurt or shifted the way that individuals used to build relationships on all of the social networks. So what we found works much better is, one, I know, Ira, you're already big on this, but for all of those, 90% of the individuals that do not use a content strategy, you have to start posting content. You have to tell your story. And that's where building that personal brand, building that authentic self that you're okay with sharing, because that's where people kind of they fall short, is they're not okay with who they are and sharing it publicly. They've got all of these personal holds that's pushing them back, that prevents them from staying and moving it. I just did the 75 hard challenge, so I'm almost finished with it. Actually, I'm going to keep it going until, because my birthday's in June, so I'm just going to keep rolling with it. And so one of the things that I have been forcing myself to do is be more authentic online. So tell my story, my struggles, my trials, my tribulations, my wins, everything in a very authentic way, and really capture my own personal voice. Like I said, we haven't done a lot of marketing for ourselves. We do it for clients because I'd already been so great at referral marketing. We had a huge referral network that always sends us clients, so we weren't really seeking out. So I was like, oh, if I get loud on social, then people are going to come to want to work with me, and I don't have the bandwidth, you know what I mean? And so that was another part of the pivot, is looking at our own bandwidth and how could we create a really great growth strategy for ourselves to move forward, where if we did get loud, we could handle the traffic that was coming our way. So we started doing events. Events became the way to showcase what individuals were doing and how they could explain their expertise. Now, these weren't say, not saying anything bad about Russell Brunson, but like a Russell Brunson webinar, where it's like, at this point, you're going to do the upsell, then you're going to have that fear of missing out. And then at the end, you're going to have that big close, you know what I mean? And like, boom, you're going to make millions of dollars, right? That's not what these events are about. It's about having the opportunity to get in front of a lot of people and showcase what makes you awesome, right? So that mission, that vision, all of the cool stuff that you're doing for people, with people, for yourself, the wins of your company, like being that authentic person and showing that. Now we create, so from that one main event, we do 4 a year for a client, and then everything is bounced off of that. So once you have that idealistic first event, then we create subsidiary content and events for that. So if you're like, we're doing one that we just went to Texas for an experiential marketing company. They create physical assets for companies that travel all over the United States, for large brands like Victoria's Secrets and Nike and Uber and all of these massive brands. They create these experiential marketing vehicles that go to these events or travel to make that from in real life to digital. So most people don't realize or know what experiential marketing assets are. So to teach them what that is and what the capabilities of getting loud in that space and how that amplifies to a digital presence by having your brand traveling across on a fleet of trucks, broadcasting it and then going, Twitch did it, Ready Player One did it, all of these massive brands, in order to create this experience. And events are about to open up big in real life events, right? So you can do a digital event that amplifies to these in real life events, and then you can create those digital assets that live forever. Just like you said, this is going to be on my website. Now you have a backlink that's going to live forever. Or the fact that I've been traveling all over blogging what I'm doing, because I'm about to launch Pivotous Balance, which is our own authentic self challenge that we're going to launch this summer. So I've been writing this challenge, and then I'm writing a book on it from my experience. So
let's back up just a second and get into, so you use some words again, because most of the people who watch the show are not from a marketing background, so they don't always understand what these are. So let's talk about the difference between digital events and in-person events. I think most people get that, but just to be clear, but then also experiential marketing. What is that for those who have never heard that term? Because it is something. Now, I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's like we grow up knowing how this works. But for those of you who are not from the event space, and maybe you're not from the marketing space, you've never heard of this, but it's important because this is a way that you can, again, we're trying to help you take your marketing efforts and upshift into a higher gear. And Chrissy certainly can help you with this, but I just want to make sure they're not lost.
Sure. I'll give you some examples of what they did for Twitch. So because this takes it from digital to in real life back to digital.
And I love the pairing, because really they're perfect pairing partners. You're doing it right.
Right. So Twitch is a streaming for video games, and all these YouTubers that are streaming all of the video games. There's a lot of influencers, which I talked about earlier, right? So what Twitch did was, I believe they took 27 of their influencers, and they created their own marketing vehicle about that influencer. Now, they had these influencers and they would show up all over. So one, their marketing saying, hey, this influencer, say your Ira is a Twitch influencer, is going to be downtown Chicago, live playing, broadcasting. And they were driving all over the Chicago streets, and it's a big LED thing, and you can watch him live playing as he's going around.
Have you guys seen these trucks? I'm sure you have. If you're on the Vegas Strip, I mean, again, they've been on there forever, but it's like a driving billboard.
Yeah.
And now, in the old days, they used to just be two sides, right? So on the right or the left, as you're driving down the street, the people could see them from the sidewalks. But now, most of them also have a back too, so it's like a box truck with 3 giant video screens. So this guy's inside the box truck playing this game, and you can see wherever this truck is, you can see, that happening, which is super cool. So anyway.
Or even, like they do stuff that's like built on Ready Player One. It was a 3-part experience. You were really going through the movie in each individual event, and getting to experience it, because that was before COVID, where you could actually go and have these at these events, and they could experience it. So
and you guys have been on rides too, like I know at Disneyland and Disney World and these things, they have like all these different rides now where they've included Sense, or they've included like the soaring where you're in and it goes up and down. The Star Wars ride does that, I know.
Or the Avatar where you're getting wet. So like they literally create those experiences.
So that's what she's talking about with experiential marketing. There's a component that is not what you would expect. It's not just picking up a newspaper, or it's not just sitting down and watching a screen. There's more to it. There's an extra element, and it's usually in the form of touch or smell, or it could be VR glasses. It could be a bunch of different stuff. But
and this is where this is an idea that solopreneurs, that we've been building for solopreneurs. So when you have an event and someone signs up for an event, we also do paid events, right? So it's a paid webinar. When they come on, they're going to teach something. You will actually get a full box experience at your door. So you may get a book, a bottle of wine, a charcuterie board, you're getting chocolates. And so they're taking you through this full experience. And so it becomes interactive with that. You don't have to be in person. We're bringing the experience and everything to you. So at 3 hours, we're going to have this, and now you'll have something delivered to your door, fresh food at that time, and so that is one of the things that we help people to create, because that was one of the cool things that happened during COVID, is all of these experiences at home started to be curated. So that's another cool thing about events and thinking outside the box. You can be at home hosting this great event, and you can have hundreds of people online with you having this, out of, in real life experience, because it's showing up at your house and you're taking them through almost this like unboxing. And unboxing has been a big thing on YouTube for a long time, right? Yeah. They're opening this. So
you see it in gender reveals all the time.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
People,
exactly.
The gender reveals are becoming more and more like a stage production.
Exactly. And So that's what we help people to do is every product or service you have, there's an opportunity to create a in real life and digital experience. Now, if you offer some type of a bonus when they open it up because you create a cool experience when they do it, that they take a picture and
Yeah,
hashtag share it to your
yeah,
social media.
yeah.
Now you just took it from you probably sold them digitally and then it got delivered to their house, so in real life, and then back to digital. And that's what we help companies to curate is those opportunities to
Yeah.
create an experience for every one of their customers and clients. And
Well,
so
and then what did you just do? You increased your brand ambassadors by however many people do that.
exactly.
Now you have a
Yep.
digital asset with them. Like I tell people all the time, you could do a coffee mug, you could do a hat, you could do anything you want. If you get them to take a photo of it and post it, now free. It's free marketing materials for you, for your sales team to use, or for your marketing team to use any way you want.
There was this really great Netflix show, and I don't think other people found it as great as a marketer mine did, but it was called Stay Here. And it was for individuals that had bought investment properties and they were looking at how to market their Airbnb and how to transform it into an experience. And so Guinevere, who was like one of the original HGTV um, hosts, had another guy from the UK that had gone on there with them. And I think there was only 8 episodes. But if you want to look at how to market something and then take it online and create those opportunities for your hosts, your guests, all of these people, your customers to market for you, they did a great job. So they would go in and they would reach out and find everything that was awesome in the community that they could then show their guests what to do. So they had a book of here's the best things, and on the website here's the best things, and they created relationships with those companies so they could offer discounts or perks. Well, one of the places up this road, there was a rainbow bagel place. So every time they reset a home and they had a guest coming in, they'd set up this beautiful rainbow bagel place within it, and then they had hashtag my bagel, and they told them exactly what to hashtag. And
Yeah.
so the whole thing was an experience and an opportunity for every guest to remarket for them. And so it was really brilliant and this was before COVID, when, like we had to go home and do all of these experiences. So, I mean, that's our area of expertise is helping to people to create this. We started leaning into Clubhouse and creating the subsidiary because because we usually do our events anywhere from 45 to 60 days out because it gives us time to build,
Right.
that get all the people signed up and they get the packages and everything. And so each week we'll do these meet and greets on Clubhouse and host these events and start to get these raving fans and then move them over to Instagram for them and then back to LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Helping to really make sure that those people show up and they've got those relationships solidified. And it also, we've seen massive conversions and they never have to sell because they show their expertise, they show what they have to offer, they go on there authentically because it's just a group of people talking about what they do in a conversational aspect. And then we reach out to them and be like, thanks for joining my room. It was so nice to meet you. If you're interested in learning more, let me know. But they didn't reach out in a sales pitch because they invited them to something, they showcased their expertise, and then they moved them through a true sales funnel. You know what I mean?
It makes sales so much easier when you don't have to cold call,
Oh yeah.
and you don't have to so this is the thing I try to explain to everybody. If you're doing like click funnel stuff, or if you're doing Google AdSense, and I'm not trying to smash anybody's efforts because there's advantages to everything. But the one thing about human nature is this: if I'm reading an ad and I have no trust factor, I've never heard of you before, I'm reading skeptically. But if I come to you from a position of I've heard about you from someone I trust, or I've gotten to know you a little bit, now I'm more forgiving and I'm more trusting from the get-go. I'm far more likely to buy, and so is everybody else in that case. So if I can get people on Clubhouse to find me, or if I can get people, like, say, for example, Chrissy, now that I know you a little bit better, if you were to send somebody my way, I'd be more open to like dig deeper than to blow them off because they're coming from me they're coming at me from a blind position, right? Like I don't.
Right.
So that relationship, that foundation of just a little bit of, hey, they weren't selling me, they were just telling me. Maybe I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, I want to know more about what you do. Maybe, hey, Chrissy, would you be on my show? Because I really like what you had to say. What happened? We met each other on Clubhouse. I listened to you speak and I go, you would make a great guest on my show. That happened very quickly, but that's how it happened. It wasn't you reaching out saying, hey, Ira, I'm in marketing space. Would you have me on your show? It's not how it happened at all. In fact, the people that do that, I don't bring them on. I only bring people that I know and that I like onto the show. And I tell people it's a ringing endorsement. Just being on my show means I like you and that I'm cool with people, going to you for the business that you can help them with. So, all right, let's do this. We're an hour in, and we talked about this ahead of time. We didn't have a hard stop. So what I want to do now is just give you the platform to let you, like, if we didn't cover something that you really would like to cover, let's just take however many minutes that takes and just make sure that we get in, if you have any advice or, maybe a problem that has come up in the last year that you're like, hey, you know what, I'm seeing this over and over again. And I would love to just tell people like, hey, this is a solution. And it's okay if it's a little bit of a commercial. It's okay because, your business Pivotous is there to help people. So let's talk about it, in whatever time we're going to be left. Like, what did we miss that you would like to cover? And if there's a solution, because I like what you're doing. You're taking these questions and you're turning them into, here's a story about a situation where we encountered this. I really like that. And you guys should probably consider doing the same thing. I call them testimonials. If you can get off the wee-wees and talk about and I got that from Allison DeFord, by the way. So if you get off the we's and start talking about, the theys, it's a lot more, it's easier to remember, and also it kind of gives you credibility because now you're showing how your product and services helps others, not just about your bells and whistles or your speeds and feeds, if you will. Right. So what did we not cover yet, Chrissy, that you would like to cover?
I not sure what we didn't cover, but I'll give one more example of how to lean into who you are as a person and to create, I think creating that goal, both personally and professionally, what you want. I thought 2020 gave us a lot of that opportunity to figure out. It gave us a time to relax. It was like a forced vacation I think so many people needed, right? They needed to figure out what their goals, what was important to them, and they could re-sculpt their life the way that they wanted to create it. Well, I think a lot of people got a lot of new hobbies, right, during 2020. I know that I picked up all of this dancing, right? I'm doing all sorts of swing dancing and line dancing. It's a way to get out and do something more active. And with everything being closed down, I'm a very social person. I like to be social. I like to work out. I like to do things like that. And so it gave me a different way to, since gyms were closed, I started hiking every day. And there was a group of individuals that were swing dancing in parking lots. And I was like, I can swing dance in parking lots. And so now we went to this really amazing bed and breakfast this past weekend up in a small town in Idaho in the mountains. And there's 8 rooms. And there's a big great room where people come down for breakfast in the morning. And we had the most incredible breakfast. She made ginger Scotch waffles, which I never had before. Remember, I taught cooking classes. So I was like, these are amazing. But I started talking to this couple. They were in their early 70s and they were retiring. And so what they were doing is we got in this big, intense conversation about now they're creating new goals and what they want to do with their life, right? Because they have a big pivot coming. They're going to be retired. What are they going to do? So as we started talking, the guy or the husband, he had been a swing dancer and traveled all over the world swing dancing for years. So we're sitting there talking, and this is all about the power of finding something that you can relate. And this could go on find your tribe, find your customers. You can sell to the people that you have something in common with, because the problem is, if you sell and you sell a service or a product that you're selling continuously to people that are not like you're not going to be happy, right? You're going to be fighting against them personality wise or interest wise the whole time. So if you have a service where you have to work with those people, try to think about your goal of finding someone that you actually would want to be stuck somewhere with. Like, you can have a continuous conversation. It's really hard to offer continuous service to people that are absolutely different than you. So this guy and I started talking, and they travel all over the world. So they invited us sailboating in San Diego, and hiking. They invited us to go to Deadwood, to go to this big music festival with them, and to go dancing, and this Christmas ball in Texas. So we exchanged numbers, and they sent us all of like their flight information and stuff. They're like, let's go travel together. It was so funny because it happened that fast, right? We hit it off. We had commonalities. We talked about, they had been business owners their whole life, so we had that in common. And I think that is the key to building a successful business and successful relationships. Finding those individuals, there's so many people in the world. Don't go and try to sell out of deficit. Try to sell out of abundance. I know that abundantly I could be friends with these individuals and have a long-term relationship. And it's not just on a personal level. There's all these different professional things. So if you think of relationship development, if we can make, with a couple that's 30 years older than I am, make all of these plans in a random B&B in the middle of the mountains, you know what I mean? Like, you can build relationships anywhere. And so if you think of what your goals, what you want your life to be, you can control that. And so just be authentic. Find those people, find your tribe. They're out there. Create the life you want so that you can have that long-lasting success. Don't try to sell just to sell, because the wrong customers will make you miserable. So don't try to work with someone just to make the dollar. Make it and think about that, your bigger picture of what's going to make you happy, and you're going to be way more successful.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, snake oil salesman is not what anybody should aspire to be. And if you're not familiar with that phrase, let me just explain it. When you're selling a product or service based on delivering some results, you have no idea if it will really work, or it won't work, but you can fool them to buy it. That's not what we're looking for in sales and marketing professional world. It should be about, this is the product that you absolutely need to achieve the goal that you've set out for. And to know that, before you can know that that's true or not, you have to know enough about them and what they're trying to achieve. So it takes a lot of questions, and you have to not only know your business inside and out, but you have to get to know theirs a little bit. And then, maybe it's like, hey, you're not a good fit for Bowman Digital Media. I need you to, go work with somebody else. And it's one of the things I love about these interviews, frankly, is I get to know every one of these business owners that have come on my show for the past 3 months. I've gotten to deep dive with them for over an hour and learn. And so sometimes, as a result, you'll get a referral from me. You'll be like, hey, he's not a good fit for Ira's company, but I think you would be a great fit for Pivotous, as an example. And I might send them your way. One thing that I've been doing differently since 2018, I was really probably a little bit ahead of the curve. And I want to show this because it does tie into a couple of things that you were talking about earlier. This is an example of a post that I would have never put up in 2017 or before on LinkedIn. Frankly, I probably wouldn't have put it up on anything but Facebook. But the reason why I put some of these up, not a lot, if you go through my posts, it's very few, but I put some of these things up. I took the day off. For the first time, I took a full day off since I launched Bowman Digital Media in June of 2020. And I put this picture up. First of all, I love the expression on my son's face. We're at the beach, we're having fun, but I relate the message to the work world, which is what? I didn't work at all yesterday. First real day off, blah, blah, blah. Hope you're having a great weekend. Self-care and time with your loved ones is important. That is not something that I would have posted before, but the message, if you don't miss it, is very important because you don't want to burn out. And this lets people in to what we're talking about. I'm not just the face of a company. I'm not just the logo. I'm actually putting something up about my life and let you get to know me a little bit too. And I think if people will catch that idea, and it's not just business, business, business. We're human beings. Like what you're doing on Instagram, and you're sharing pictures on Instagram that kind of reveal to us who you are outside the workspace, even though, I'm sure they're still crafted and there's a message that you know what I mean, that you're conveying. I know my my Instagram does the same thing, but those relationships that you're trying to build and everything that you've talked about over the last 70 minutes, it starts there with the human being. So don't be afraid, guys. Now, this is my advice. I don't know if Chrissy agrees with this or not, but my advice to you is this. Your business pages don't need to be 100% about your business. You can talk about some of the challenges. You can talk about some of the employee challenges. You can just talk about things that interest you because you're doing business with other people, even if they work for and represent other companies, right? People have, like, maybe in 2020, in March 2020, maybe you'd never been on camera before. I bet you that almost all of us have a different setup now than we did in March 2020, which is an interesting poll. In fact, I might make that poll later today on one of my accounts, right? My Bowman Digital Media or my personal account. Did you upgrade your camera in the last 12 months? Did you add, like, this is not a green screen. This is, it's a printed backdrop. The reason why I don't like the green screens is because I don't like the little pixels. It's usually, for me, my glasses. For a lot of people, it's the hair. Could be the chair. But, you're moving around and it comes in and out. I hate that because I'm a little bit of a control freak. We talked about that earlier. Nothing wrong with control, baby. I'm all about it. But anyways, I wanted to make sure. And behind me, because I actually, in full disclosure, I share my office with my wife. And behind me, there's a wall with cabinets and shelving that have a bunch of Scentsy products on it. And for my shows, I didn't want that to be in the back. So I wanted to control what people saw. So anyways, it's interesting. But I have a mic, a 4K camera, 15 lights. I have 15 lights. We were talking about lighting before the show started. We have 15 lights around me that I can manipulate the lights depending on, you know what I mean? Because you want to look a certain way. But I talk about that stuff. That's not necessarily Bowman Digital Media stuff, but it's interesting human part of the, it's a human component. And we all have it. What do you do when your kid's sick? My walls, for example, are like, they block out the vision, but I tell people they're made of paper mache because even now I can hear my kids on the other side doing what they're doing, which is one of the reasons why I got a mic with noise canceling filter so that hopefully none of that came through this show. Don't be afraid to talk about that stuff, guys. That's kind of my parting advice for you. But Chrissy, I want to thank you so much for joining again. For those of you, I'm going to share it one more time. I'm going to put Chrissy up on the screen here, her LinkedIn page. If you guys are not following her, follow her. Smash that follow button. You can send her a request to connect. Now, I think you're maxed out now, yeah?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, on LinkedIn, the max is 30,000. So, like, when you send me connection requests, when you send Chrissy connection requests, for us to add you, we have to drop somebody else. So don't just send a connection request with no message. Make sure if you want us to connect with you, you got to give us a compelling reason to drop somebody who we've already connected with. So
wait, should my compelling reason be because I didn't even get to mention that I'm a pygmy goat farmer?
That could be anything, right? But
right.
If you want to send somebody who's got a large network a connection request, you have to understand that there are limits. Every social media platform has a limit. LinkedIn actually does a great job at 30,000 because a lot of them are 5 or 10. So they actually are very generous with that 30,000. But you can follow anybody on LinkedIn, right? You don't have to have any permission. You can just hit that follow button. And I recommend that you do that if you ever find anybody interesting. But if you're going to hit the connection request, make sure you send a connection request message. And please, for my audience, I say this every time, don't spam them if they are kind enough to accept it. Make sure that you respect that. What does that mean? don't try and sell them something the minute they connect, right? Like get to know them, build a relationship. Then look, I'm just gonna lay it down for all of you who are wondering. If you don't send that message, you're more likely to get a sale than if you do. Okay? Because nobody wants to buy from somebody who makes them feel like just another sale. We want to do business with our friends. So if you create friendships, then the sales will follow naturally. In fact, what happens when people connect with me and they don't try and sell me something, if I don't figure it out, like what they do, I'm going to ask them, like, hey, so tell me about yourself. Now I'm giving you permission to tell me what you do, right? It's a whole different conversation, and the way it will turn out will go a lot better for you. Anyways,
Right.
Chrissy, thank you so much for joining the show. You guys can find her again. It'll be on my website, probably about 24 hours. I'll have this loaded there. But you can find her at Pivotous on LinkedIn. You can find her at Chrissy Larsen, at Chrissy Larsen on Clubhouse. Follow her there. You can find her on Instagram. Again, she has wonderful pictures on Instagram. It's a lot of fun to follow you there too. So Chrissy, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you guys, if you need help with experiential marketing, affiliate marketing, check out Pivotous and what they can do for you. We are going to bebop out of here to the music like I always do, but I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Come back, join us next week. We do this every Monday. It starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That is 2 p.m. Eastern. Time adjust for wherever you are. Chrissy, have a great day in Idaho. We'll see you around Clubhouse.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. BowmanDigitalMedia.com.